Hey everybody, glad to have you with us today at our Lunch and Learn, and appreciate you being here. My name's Dean Renfro, and if you follow along with me, of course you know to click up there on notifications so that you know every time I go live, and we appreciate you being here in our show. If it's your first time here, encourage you to do the same thing. Be sure to click on notifications up there and turn that on, and every time we go live you will know about it and you can choose to be with us. We appreciate that. And another great thing about it is that you can also type in the comments underneath this video and we can see them and respond to them. So if you have a question or want to make a comment or give a thumbs up or a heart or a frowny face or whatever, you can do that. But we're glad you're with us. Hey, well, today we're going to be talking about the three biggest mistakes you're making in goal setting. You know, everybody talks about the whole idea of goal setting and putting goals out there in front of people, and you know, it really is a huge thing that you can do in the process of life. It's real important to set goals, right? I mean, it's just an important part of what people do. Hey, Fernando, appreciate you being here, brother. Glad to have you. It's one of my pastor brothers at our congregation. Appreciate Fernando being with us today. Hey, Titus, glad to have you here. Hey, Rick Lemons, appreciate you being on watching the show today. Be sure to jump in and make a comment. I'm sure you could have a lot of insight for all of us. Rick's a great pastor in a church in Forney and does a great job up there. Been up there a long time. I'm not going to say how long. But anyway, we're going to be talking about this for, I think, an important concept and idea about what do you do about goal setting and how do you not make the common mistakes. Now, most people, if you think about it, we think about, okay, I got to have a goal. And I need to have goals because goals are important about moving ahead, right? And that is so true. Goals are important, really about moving ahead. That's just kind of a part of how life works. Whether the goal is, I want to lose weight, or I want to make more money, or I want to be better at a relationship, or I want to improve this in my life, or I want to do this. We set a goal to do that. And of course, coming up in January is of course the biggest time that people set goals, right? And of course, by the end of January is the biggest letdown to most people because they forfeited those goals and moved on to something else because probably some elements that we're going to talk about here will be obvious that that's what they did, right? So we're going to talk about that today. So when you talk about goal settings, what are some of the things, if you're in the audience and you want to type in the box underneath, what are some things that you know or learned or heard about? How do you set a good goal? How do you set a good goal? And how do you do that? And you want to type that in the box underneath, that'd be great. If you're catching me on the replay, by the way, you can do that as well. It'll appear in the stream of the video, and I can respond to it as well, even on the replay. That's a great thing about Facebook Live. Lets us do that kind of thing. Hey, Paulette Cato, glad to have you with us as well today. So what are some things you know or have heard, or maybe you've read, maybe you've applied in your life about goal setting? How do you set a good goal? How do you set a good goal? Anybody want to make a comment on that? I'll give you a few moments to do that. I'm going to get a drink when we get started here. Well, it's often been said that dreams happen because people set a goal. Because without the goal, a dream is just a journey to nowhere. It never happens. It never takes place, right? Same thing can be true about a task or something that you want to have happen in life. You set a goal. Sometimes people set financial goals. Sometimes people set weight loss goals. In church, pastors and churches set attendance goals or maybe ministry goals that they want to see have happen. And so today we're going to talk about what I found to be the three biggest mistakes, and I'll even give you a bonus and share a fourth one with you. Three biggest mistakes that people make in goal setting. Okay, that's some things I've found along the way, some things I've learned along the way, some things I've learned in my John Maxwell team training. That these are just some things that people struggle with in setting goals. So let's talk about the first one. All right, let's talk about the first one. I'll try to get this up there where you can see it in big time, and I'll come back to you. Again, so if you're joining me, my name's Dean Renfro. You can follow along with what we're talking about in goal setting, and today some mistakes that people make in goal setting. So mistake number one that people normally make in goal setting is we look at what we've already done, and so we build our goal around that, right? How many of you would say that you've done that? I'll say I've done that. You say, okay, here's what I've already done, so I can do that. So I'm going to build my goal around that. So example might be in weight loss. Somebody might say, okay, I want to lose 15 pounds. Why would you choose 15 pounds? Well, because I've lost 15 pounds before. So I'm gonna set my goal to lose 15 pounds. Because I know how to do that, right? Or say you have a financial goal, okay, that you're going to save enough money to go on your vacation, okay, and you'd say, well, why would you set that as your goal? Well, because I've done that before, right? Or a church might say, hey, we're going to add 15 new people to our church this year, okay. Well, why would you say it? Well, because we've done that before. A company might say, okay, we're going to make X number of dollars this year in sales. We're going to have X number of dollars in sales this year. And the question would be, well, why would you say that? Well, because we've done that before. So we look at what we've already done and build our goal around that. Okay, that is, as you see here, that's a major mistake that people make. That's a mistake that people make. And you might be thinking, well, why is that a mistake? Isn't that a good way to make sure that the goal happens? Is to build around what you've already done and what you know happens. Well, what happens in that process? Okay, what happens in that process is it takes away the inspiration of the goal. Goals are part of what goal setting is to inspire us to move forward. And so here's the remedy to that. Just think about this. You know this statement to be true. If we do what we've always done, we'll always get what we have right now, which basically becomes your goal. Well, let's just get what we have right now. We got to here doing this. I lost 15 pounds before, so I know how to do that, so I'll just do that again, and so where will you be? Where you are right now, okay, right? So you see, in other words, there's no inspiration to that. But second of all, there's no price to pay. See, goal setting and accomplishing great things or good things or positive things in what you're trying to do involve you and I paying a price. Okay, we have to sacrifice to make the goal work. If we do something that we've already done, there's no sacrifice. Well, guess what? Most of the time, that's why people don't get their goal accomplished, is because they're always doing what they've always done. And there's no price to pay. There's no inspiration for it to happen. So never try to do the same as before. Well, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. I'm just saying oftentimes it's a mistake, Fernando, for people to say, okay, well, I did this. Now, because there is something you need to look at, and I'll give you that at the end, about what can you do to go to the next stage in life using a goal you've already done. Because one thing about the goal, if you've already done it, it shows you've already done it. You can do this. Okay, you can do this. That's important. That is important. I want you to hold on to that thought, okay, because we're going to talk about that in the end. So let's look at mistake number 2. Let's look at mistake number 2 that people often have in goal setting. We look at what we think we can do, right? We look at what we think we can do. Now, how does that work out? How do people look at what they think they can do? Well, let's see. We look at the conditions. What's going on around me? We look at the circumstances. Is gas up or is gas down? Is economy good or is economy bad? Are people going to work or people getting laid off from work? Is it winter or is it summer? Is it spring or is it fall? So we start looking at all these circumstances, and we begin to think, okay, now that we know all these things, now that we've compiled all the data, this is what we think we can do based on what? Yeah, Marty, exactly right. Marty, exactly. The subconscious seeks to protect us by resisting change, the normal pattern. That is so true. But we look at what we think we can do, right? We look at what we think we can do based on the circumstances. Okay? So you get all the people together. You get your company together, you get your salespeople together, you get your church people together, you get your family together, you get yourself together, okay? And you start looking at all the circumstances that are going on around you and all the conditions going around, and you start designing the plan, right? But here's the problem. Here's the problem with that thinking is by the time you get the plan done, guess what happened? Guess what happened in the meantime? Anybody want to guess what's happened in the meantime? Everything changed, right? Everything you based your plan on, the circumstances, the conditions, all the stuff going on, all the data you put into it, changed. And now your plan is outdated by the time you get it done. I mean, it's kind of that way with the cell phone. And I mean, if you go get a new smartphone, by the time you get home from the store, they've already announced they're coming out with something else that's got a better, bigger, banger, whizzer thing stuck on it, and you're like, oh man. Hey, Dave Hobley, glad to have you. Hey, Donnie Parrish, appreciate you being with us today. So here's the remedy for the mistake of number 2, okay? Here's the remedy. Realize that you are programmed to surrender the goal to the plan. Realize you are, I have some kind of odd background noise today. Okay, is that true, everybody? Marty, is that true? Are you hearing an odd background noise? I'll tell you what, let me cut off the air conditioner. See if that helps. Okay, do you realize you're programmed to surrender the goal or the plan? Think about it. Think about it, whether it's you and a subtle little hum. Okay, I don't know what that might be. I'll tell you what, let me turn that down. Does that help? All right, so you're programmed to surrender the goal to the plan. Let's think about it like this. Just to say you're a company and you bring together all the directors or all the sales managers or all the people, or say you're a church and you bring a character, so that still didn't help. Okay. All right, so anyway, I'll just have to deal with it. All right, so you'll just have to deal with it. It sounds fine on my end. What can I say? Okay, so you bring all these people together. Or let's just say you're going to go lose weight. So you go buy the latest plan, or you go to the gym and get a membership. You get all this stuff put together, all right? Okay, you get all this done. You've created the plan. You spent some money to make all that happen. And then the goal, then the process of the plan doesn't work. It doesn't work like you thought. What do? What do most people do? They've already got the plan, right? They've already spent money on the plan. They've already invested time in the plan. They've already invested resource in the plan, energy in the plan. What do they do? What do they do? Okay, I'll tell you what we do. We are programmed to surrender the goal to the plan. We change the goal. Well, I can't lose 15 pounds. I'll just shoot for 10. Right? Oh, we can't make 100 more sales this month. We can only make 50. So let's just do 50. I can only save X number of dollars. I'll only save X number of dollars then. I can't save the whole amount. Okay? Church. What does church do? Church does the same thing. Well, we can't do this, so let's change the goal to this. Why? Because we fall in love with the plan. We fall in love with the plan, not the goal. We fall in love with the plan, not the goal. Are you starting to see what's going on here in our brains? We fall in love with the plan, not the goal. And the plan becomes the goal. Yes, exactly, Marty. And then we have these people around us that are constantly telling us it won't work. See, I told you you couldn't lose 15 pounds. You can only lose 10. Well, hey, 10's better than none, right? But you got these people telling us. Because there's always these people in the room. There's always these people that come to us, well-intended people, sometimes people who love us dearly, sometimes people want to save us from ourselves, all these things that go on, and they come and say things like, well, I don't want to play the devil's advocate, right? And you know it's coming. Well, I don't want to play the devil's advocate, right? Well, I don't want to rain on your parade. Well, I don't want to be the person that has to tell you. You know what I want to say to those people? And I often have said this to people. Then sit down and shut up. Don't say it. Don't be the devil's advocate. We're not talking about devil's advocates here. We're not talking about raining on the parade. We're not talking about somebody telling me something. Okay? That's what people do. Just sit down and shut up, right? Just shut up. We're not talking about what we can't do. We're talking about what we can do. We're not talking about surrendering the goal. Hey, Alex, glad to have you on here, man. So here's a perfect young man. Here's a perfect example of a young man that is working on his pilot's license. He's learned to fly. He's flying solo now. I think he's flying solo now. If not, he's working on flying solo now. And he's working on his next step. He's got some goals in mind. Here's what I know, because I get all these great pictures from Alex on Facebook where I see all these great places he's flying, he's taking pictures. I don't think Alex has let some setbacks keep him from accomplishing the goal. See, he hasn't changed the plan to fit the goal. He just keeps working on the goal. Way to go, Alex. Kudos to you, buddy. Realize that you and I are programmed to surrender the goal for the plan. We fall in love with the plan. The plan becomes it. It becomes the mantra. It becomes the thing. It becomes the sacred. It becomes the holy. See, that's what happens to us. So we change the goal to fit the plan. All right? Don't do that. Just realize that's what you're going to do at some point, and counteract that, okay? Counteract that. And when people say, I don't want to play the devil's advocate because I want to save you from yourselves, just turn that off. I mean, or if you're brash enough, just say, okay, then don't. Just sit down and shut up. All right? I got the goal figured out, okay? So that's that. All right, so what's mistake number 3? Now, you might not want to do that. You might not make, as Dale Carnegie says, you might not make too many friends and have influence, okay? So, but sometimes that's what you have to do, is just tell them, hey, I don't need to hear that. I've thought about that already. All right, so number 3. Mistake number 3. Before we can accomplish the goal, we have to know how. That's what people do. Before we can do this, we got to know how to do it, right? We have to know how. We have to know how we're going to do it, okay? And so, you know, you have these people in life, and some of those people are our own selves or our own mind saying, okay, well, I know that's a worthy goal or a lofty goal or an inspirational goal, but really, I really got to know how. Because here's what people tell us, or we tell ourselves. If you can't tell me how you're going to do it, then you're not being real, or it's not reality. If you can't tell me how, then it's not reality. Okay? That's what people tell us, or that's what we tell ourselves. Now stop and think about that for a minute, because I'm going to tell you something. There's a whole bunch of things in this world that you do that you don't know how to do. See, most of us don't know how to do anything. Okay? We don't know how to do anything until what? Somebody want to take a guess? We don't know how to do anything until what? Because I'm going to give you a real example, real life example. We don't know how to do anything until what? See if anybody's brave. We don't know how to do anything until what? Until we do it. You don't know how to do anything until you do it. I'll give you an example. I want you to tell me, until we try it, until we do it, Kathy, until we actually do it. Exactly. We don't know how to do anything until we try or until we do it. Let me give you an example. I want you to tell me, right where you are, if you're sitting, driving, or whatever, how to stand up. I want you to tell me how to stand up. So you can't tell me how to stand up. Right? You can't tell me how to stand up. You don't know how to stand up. You cannot describe to me all the things that have to happen from the moment your brain says, I'm going to stand up. But how many times have you stood up? Some of you thousands, some of you maybe millions of times in your lifetime, if you're old as dirt like me. You've stood up hundreds of thousands of times. But I can't tell you how to stand up. And I certainly couldn't tell you how to stand up if I had never stood up. Now I can give you some basics of how to stand up, right? I can say, well, I tell myself to stand up, and these kind of things happen. But I can't describe all the little fine details that my mind goes through to tell my body to stand up. Right? I don't. And that is so true about most things that we approach. When we talk about a goal, when we talk about doing something, and we tell ourselves, well, we have to know how. Well, let me tell you this. At best, if you try to describe somebody how to do something, you are guessing. At best, you're guessing. Most of the time, you really have no clue. Now, I know for some of you. I know for some of you, intense action C people on the disc, this makes you really, really, really nervous. It's like, what do you mean? We don't know how. You know? What do you mean we don't know how? What do you mean you can't tell me how? Well, then it can't be real if you can't tell me how. Okay? Well, guess what? It's a guess. It's a guess. Now, the intense action D people, they thrive on this because their attitude is, yeah, I don't know how, but I'm going to try it anyway, and I will take what works and use it, and what doesn't work, I'll throw it out. Okay? That's what they'll do with it. Okay? So reality is you really don't know how. Okay? You, at best, are guessing. So if you're sitting there thinking, well, until I figure out how, I'm not going to do this, then you're going to still be sitting here next year thinking, well, once I figure it out, I will take action. Hey, Angela, glad to have you on the show. So here's the remedy, okay? Here's the remedy, folks. Here's the remedy for what we're talking about. Suspend the requirement of knowing how, okay? Suspend the requirement of knowing how. Because at this point, how does not matter. How does not matter. Okay, until you do it, how doesn't matter. Okay, until you do it, how does not matter. Maybe for some of you today, that is like a weight coming off of you. I'm going to give you an example. Since I had a young pilot on here earlier, Alex Konzak on here a little bit early, I'm going to give you the example. Do you think, let's just take the Wright brothers. Do you think they knew how to fly before they built a flying machine? No, they didn't even know how to build a flying machine. They experimented until finally one day the thing got off the ground and they were shocked. Okay? But they didn't go, whoo, we built a flying machine. Then they decided they would fly it. Now, I know you know this, but it might come as a shock to you. The Wright brothers were not licensed by the FAA to fly when they flew their plane. Matter of fact, they didn't even know how to fly a plane when they flew their plane. Matter of fact, they couldn't write the manual of how to fly. Why? Because they didn't know how. But they didn't sit there in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina and say, well, we built this contraption. It looks like it should fly. Maybe it'll fly. What did they do? They tried before they knew how. They tried before they knew how to fly. And see, until you fly, all the book learning in the world, all the theory in the world is just that. You have to go do it. Then you can say, now I know how. Now I know how. So suspend, when you're talking about setting goals and accomplishing goals, suspend how you're going to do it, because how right now doesn't matter. Hey, Patsy Schutte. Hey, Paul Holder. Glad to have you here with us today in the show. So suspend that, because oftentimes that's what people are saying. Well, that's not reality if you don't know how. Well, you don't know how. Just say, I don't know how. We're just going to try it and find out. Okay. Now, for some of you, you think that's really, really, really dangerous. But I want to tell you, you don't know how to do anything till you try it, till you do it. I don't care. You don't know how. All right. So that's kind of how all that how all that works. Now, let me give you the bonus. Mistake I'll share with you today. Oftentimes, here is a big component of why people have trouble with goals. Okay, is that deep down inside, deep down in here and in here, okay, is they're thinking, I'm not worthy to have this goal. I'm not worthy to have it. I'm not worthy of this promotion. I'm not worthy to make that kind of money. I really shouldn't get a pilot's license. I'm not. Who am I? At 20, whatever age Alex is, to be flying a plane, or I shouldn't own a company at this age, or my company shouldn't make that much money, or we shouldn't make that many sales, or our church shouldn't be this big, or we shouldn't have this kind of growth in our life, and I shouldn't have this kind of this, and I'm really not worthy of that. Now, we probably don't say that out loud, but we say it in here, in our heart, in our head. We say that, okay? And what happens to us is that begins to permeate our life. We don't realize it. We don't realize it. So what's the remedy? What's the real question you should be asking yourself is this question. Change your thinking to, is the goal worthy of me? Is the goal worthy of me? Okay. So, all right, that's what we've talked a little bit about today. Now I want to come back to one of the first things that got talked about in the first concept and idea is, well, then how do you take your goal to the next level? Okay. What most people do is they forget to increment what they do. Okay. They don't get it broke down in enough steps, first of all. Okay. I'll give you an example. Just say we're going to lose 10 pounds. But really, let's say you need to lose 50 pounds. And you might look at 50 pounds and go, I don't know if I can lose 50 pounds. Well, okay, you probably aren't, because you're not worthy to lose 50 pounds, right? You shouldn't really be able to lose 50 pounds. Okay, or I want to make, $50,000 more this year. Or I want to have, 50 more sales this year. Or whatever your goal might be. You'll look at that and, well, how do you do that? Okay, well, it's the elephant theory, one bite at a time. So here, let me ask you this. If you can do it one time, if you can be successful and do it one time, so example in $1. Just say you want to add $50,000 more dollars to your income. If you can make $1, what do you do to make $2? And I know the brilliant people in the room can answer this question. If I can make $1, how do I make $2? Somebody can answer online. Just go ahead and answer. Hey, Ian, what's going on, brother? We've been talking about your brother, by the way. I'm talking about Alex being a pilot. If you can make $1, what do you have to do to make $2? Come on. There's smart people online here. Come on. Somebody knows the answer to this. It's not a trick question. It's not a trick question. If I want to make $50,000 more dollars this year and I can make $1, what do I have to do? Okay, well, come on. Somebody answer me. I'm waiting. We'll take a drink while I'm waiting. If I made one sale this year and I wanted to make 50 more sales this year, what do I have to do? If I can lose 1 pound and I need to lose 10 pounds. Okay, here's Marty. Marty get a good answer. Hey, I made $10 today on eBay commissions today. So what do you have to do to make $100 on eBay commissions? What do you have to do to make 1,000? What do you have to do to make $1,000,000? Exactly, Marty. Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. How do you do that? You think about rinsing and repeating. See, most people get all hung up in the big components of it all, instead of saying, well, wait a minute. I did this to make $1, and if I do that again, I'll make another $1. And if I do it twice, I'll make $2. And if I do it 5 times, I'll make $5. If I made this sale, then I just do this again and I can make another sale. We make it way too difficult, people. It's pretty simple. If you can do it once, you can do it again and again and again and again. We make it hard. We begin to bring all this other stuff into the formula, and it gets complicated and it gets overwhelming, and it gets physically and financially and emotionally and logistically impossible. When all we had to really do is rinse and repeat. Okay? That's what you learn. That's what you need to learn about goal setting, is if you can do it once and make $1, you can do it again and make another $1. And then it becomes, how many times can I do this? Okay? How many pounds? If I can lose 1 pound, then I do that again, I'll lose another pound. And if I do this again, I'll lose another pound. If I can connect to 5 people in a network meeting, well, then I can do this again and connect to 5 more. Now I've got 10. And if I can connect to 10 people in a network meeting, then I can connect to 20. Okay? You just have to find the process to do it. Now, how most people go about doing these things is they reverse engineer everything. They look at it at the end and they back up. Well, the end is what you already know. If I already know how to make $1, why am I going to set all these goals and all this process? Why am I going to do that all over again? I already know how to do that. Just go do that again and again and again and again and again and again. See, that's often what happens. So a company that wants to raise their bottom line, in other words, if they say, okay, last year we made $1 million, next year we want to make $2 million, well, that's not big enough. Why don't you think about making $10 million? Well, how do we do that? Do the same thing you did to make $1 million, just do it 10 times. You see, goal setting becomes a lot simpler if you think about, if I can do it once, I can then do it again. I just need to do it over and over and over again. All right, hey, glad to have you with us today on the show. Hey, I just want to real quick share with you our sponsor of the show today. It's Maxwell's 21 Laws of Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And I am hosting a mastermind on that. That is who I am. That's kind of what I'm pushing out there to you. You learn things just like this that I just talked about today in today's show in this mastermind. Okay, in this mastermind, you can learn about these kinds of things. Just like today was simply an application of the law of the lid, the first law, the first irrefutable law, the law of the lid. You can only go so high, okay, until you take the lid off. And the lid, oftentimes, is just some things like we talked about today. The lid is your own thinking. The lid is your own design. The lid is your own structure that you've created. It's your own being in love with the plan instead of the goal. You see what I'm talking about? We're going to be talking about things like that in my mastermind that you can sign up for. It's free. Okay, you can sign up, but it's limited. It's limited. I can only have so many people in there and make it work. But we can have discussion just like this. We'll be doing it live online, and of course we're doing a local one as well. That is face-to-face with people here where I live. So if you'd like to be a part of that, go to this group, facebook.com/groups Dean Renfro 21 Law Mastermind. 21 Laws Mastermind. And it'll be a post here in the thread, Marty, if you don't mind putting that in there. I appreciate it. We're going to be doing that right here on Facebook, and you can participate and learn some cool principles just like you learned today. Hey, Brad Dixon, thanks for being with us today. Glad for you to be a part with us today. So anybody got a question or thought or idea you'd like to throw in when we talk about goal setting and some things that you can implement in goal setting, maybe a mistake you've made or some structure issue that you've seen, well, here's what's happened when I tried that. Yeah, you can just type it in the comments underneath. By the way, if you're just joining us on the replay, you just got to the end of this on the replay, you can always click on notifications up there and see us when we're live, but also type in the comment section underneath. Let me know you're here, and if you got a comment, love your comments on there. You can give a thumbs up, hearts, oh me, all that kind of thing. Because here's what happens. Here's what's going to happen to most of us. The yogurt, when we get off of here, the yogurt is going to hit the fan. The yogurt's going to hit the fan, and life's going to go every which direction, and we're not going to get anything we intended to get done. That's what's going to happen to most of us, okay? It's just going to happen. So take action right now. Go sign up at that link that Marty just put in there. Thank you, Marty, for doing that. You can go sign up at that link and be a part of the mastermind, okay? Be a part of the mastermind that's coming up. It's free. And if you miss a session of it, you can always Facebook Live. There's always a replay. You can catch the replay inside the group. There'll be all kind of resources in that. The only thing you have to do in the process is you got to buy the book. Okay, you got to buy the book, and yeah, the fruit is always at the bottom of the yogurt. Exactly, Marty. You got to buy. You'll need the book, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. You can get that on my website, johnmaxwell.com/Dean Renfro. You can get that there. You can see that at the top of my profile page as well. Okay. So again, if you need the link, there it is. So anybody got a comment? You want to throw something in there? You want to tell me go fly a kite? You want to go tell me go hit the fan? What do you want to tell us today about today's show? Here's another big thing about the show. I will tell you this before we get off of here. Is that if you think this was good enough show to share with your friends, go share it with your friends. And if you think it wasn't a good enough show to share with your friends, go share it with your friends. Okay? Do it anyway. Do it anyway. Because you never know who can be impacted by things like today, who's stuck, who maybe have set goals and tried and it's never worked. Okay, and it's never worked. So you just go share it with people. Like it and go share it. Tell people about it. Appreciate you being with us today. We'll be back tomorrow in our Lunch and Learn tomorrow, as well as we talk about another one of the principles and in what we're doing in life and how it works for us and what we can be doing. Okay, so catch my profile page. You'll catch a lot of those. I'll be starting a page where I just post all of these, so you can see them all. And you definitely will be able to go see them all over on my John Maxwell /Dean Renfro site as well. So you can catch those there as well. Any last comments before we go today? Any last comments before we go today? All right, well, I'm going to set up the ending of the show here. And we'll get started. Talk to you later.